All that and so much more. Our Indiana starts right now. Don't expect Ezekiel Elliott to play on Sunday, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think Dak Prescott can do enough good things with Cole Beasley and his other weapons to win this game. The Atlanta Falcons are suffering from a major Super Bowl hangover. You can call it what you will, but they're 4-4. Julio Jones is dropping wide-open touchdown passes, and some of the games they won against Chicago and Detroit were by the slimmest of margins. I don't think they should have won those games. I'm not seeing the same team as I did last year. I expect Dallas to win regardless of whether Zeke plays or not. That offensive line's just too good. Well, on Friday, Archie Miller called his team soft after they were beat in their first game of the season by the Indiana State Sycamores. Not the way they wanted to start the Miller era. The Hoosiers back home this evening against Howard. No, not dear old Uncle Howard. I won't see him until Thanksgiving. IU trailing by 1, but Al Durham hits the three-pointer to give the Hoosiers the lead. Then, a little later on, here comes some magic from Robert Johnson. Alley-oop to the freshman Justin Smith. That would put the Hoosiers up 10 as he lays down the hammer. Thanks, guys. The number 1 ranked team in the country, Indiana men's soccer, will look to stay undefeated when they host the Badgers of Wisconsin on Saturday. The Badgers better bring their offense, as IU's goalie Trey Muse hasn't allowed a single goal in the last 8 matches. IU football has a big game this Saturday, homecoming against the number 17 ranked Wolverines of Michigan. I'm joined today by a couple true football guys and IU football insiders, the Hoosier Huddle's David Sugarman and Cameron Drummond of the IDS. David, I'm going to give the first question to you. What would a win against a big-time program like Michigan mean for IU's football program? Well, the Colts had hoped that a win in Houston last week would be a turning point in their season, and it looked like it would be today as they faced off against the Steelers. That is, until the fourth quarter happened. The Steelers have had the Colts' number lately, beating them the last 4 times they've faced off. That's what we in the biz like to call a platinum sombrero. Pagano has never beaten them in his career with the Colts. Vontae Davis gone at corner, so Roethlisberger decides to test Pierre Durser. That was a bad idea. He got picked off. Durser picks him off. It's a scoreless first quarter. Second quarter, Colts find the end zone. Jacoby Brissett connects with Dante Moncrief for a 60-yard touchdown. Colts go ahead 7-zip. Look at that touchdown dance. 3-pointers, good. First possession of the second half, Brissett with another long hookup. This one to Chester Rogers, and he's rumbling, bumbling, stumbling 61 yards for his first touchdown of his NFL career. Colts on top 17-3. But as Colts fans are accustomed to, critical mistake here. Ball goes through Jack Doyle's hands and intercepted by Ohio State's Ryan Trazier at the Colts' 10-yard line. That's a huge mistake. Steelers would make them pay. They take advantage. Roethlisberger with loads of time. He finds Vance McDonald for a 7-yard score. 2-point conversion would be good. That ties the game at 17. Then 4 seconds to go. Chris Boswell showing off that steel leg, nails a 33-yard field goal. That is the game. Steelers rally for a 20-17 win. The Colts are now just 3-7 heading into the bye week, and it is deja vu for Chuck Pagano. Well, it was pandemonium in Pullman, Washington on Friday as the 16th-ranked Washington State Cougars upset the 5th-ranked Trojans of USC. Coming into Friday night's matchup, the Cougars hadn't beaten a top 10-ranked team at home in over a decade. The Trojans, in many people's eyes, were the favorite to win the Pac-12 and make the college football playoff, but Mike Leach's boys, well, they had other ideas. Good evening, and welcome to the newest installment of Our Indiana. I'm Joe Canter. I think it's consistency on the offensive side of the ball mainly. Now, no one's going to blame head coach Tom Allen for the loss on Saturday, but one of the first decisions Tom Allen made as head coach was the hire of offensive coordinator Mike DeBoard. Now, that was a safe hire, it was a conservative hire, and it was the wrong hire. Indiana has a very young offense that they're trying to make work this season, and redshirt freshman quarterback Peyton Ramsey has played surprisingly well, given that he's got an offensive line that's proven time and time again they're unable to protect him when he needs it the most, and Indiana, for the first time in a while, doesn't have a future pro necessarily at the running back position. So I think for Indiana to get better, it's consistency on the offensive side of the ball, mainly the play calling. Indiana softball team entered Sunday 1-1 in fall ball play. The Hoosiers hosted their in-state rival IUPUI for a doubleheader at Andy Moore Field. Game 1 was largely controlled by the Jaguars, who carried a 3-1 lead into the 6th inning. But in the bottom of the 6th, the Hoosiers' offense came alive, scoring 7 runs behind aggressive base running, some defensive mistakes by the Jags, and a few timely hits from Rebecca Blitz and Gabby Jenkins. The big inning was enough to secure the Hoosiers an 8-3 win. Game 2, a slightly different story, same result. It was all Indiana, as IUPUI's offense failed to keep pace. Shonda Stanton's ladies treated the second game like it was a home run derby. 3 different Hoosiers sent balls sailing into the seats, including Taylor Uden, Annika Baez, and Rebecca Blitz. This one was set to cruise control just like an English automobile as IU cruised to an easy win 10-1 over the Jaguars. The Hoosiers will next be in action Saturday when they travel to Indianapolis to take on Heartland Community College and Butler University. It was a big weekend for IU basketball head coach Archie Miller as he picked up his first win during his tenure at the university. The team bounced back from a tough opening loss against Indiana State, but much like that game, this one wasn't all that pretty for Hoosier fans. Howard University started off strong and gave IU its share of fits early. It didn't help when Jawan Morgan had to leave the game due to injury after playing only 5 minutes. You see him gingerly stepping off the court here. For the Bison, R.J. Cole dropped 27 points, going 5 of 8 from three-point range, absolutely on fire from beyond the arc. Ranked IU men's soccer team wrapped up their regular season in East Lansing against Michigan State. A win would have propelled either the Hoosiers or the Spartans to the Big Ten championship, as both teams were unbeaten in conference play. Indiana struck first in the 25th minute when Trevor Schwartz converted on a penalty kick for his 3rd goal of the season. IU's 1-0 lead lasted until the 61st minute when Ryan Sarakowski scored on a penalty kick of his own that tied the game up for the Spartans. That's all these 2 outstanding defenses would allow, and the game ended in a 1-1 draw. And Chuck Pagano may be on the hot seat in Indianapolis. Until next time, you stay hot, Bloomington.
All right, well, you heard it here first from the legendary Joe Canter himself.
It was homecoming heartbreak for the Hoosiers as Indiana dropped yet another highly competitive contest to a top 25 team. This one to number 17 Michigan, 27-20 in overtime. Neither team was able to find any rhythm offensively early as Michigan once again struggled with quarterback play. Quarterback John O'Corn threw for only 58 yards, but the Wolverines' running back Karen Higdon picked up the slack, running for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. For IU, wide receiver Luke Timian served as the safety blanket for quarterback Peyton Ramsey, who was under pressure all game long. Timian caught 7 balls for 95 yards. Meanwhile, kicker Griffin Oakes was nails down the stretch as he sent a 46-yard field goal through the uprights to force overtime. But in overtime, it was Higdon again for Michigan on the very first play of the very first possession of overtime, busting a 25-yard touchdown run. That would give Michigan the 27-20 win after IU got the ball down to the 3-yard line but was unable to convert after several chances. After the game, Allen cited several discrepancies with officiating that he felt robbed his team of the opportunity to win the game.
Several?
Yes.
Yeah, several. Here's what I say. I'm not going to, yeah, I understand how this all works. So we have to earn the right to get those breaks, period, in a discussion. We have to be a football team that's competing week in, week out for the Big Ten championship. That's what I believe. You saw what I saw.
The Hoosiers will look to bounce back next Saturday when they travel to East Lansing to take on the Spartans of Michigan State. Reporting for our Indiana, I'm Joe Canter. Coming up short. Sadly, that's the taste Indiana football has in their mouth following this season, and especially after their loss in the season finale, another big game against their bitter rival by just 1 score. The Hoosiers' objective was clear: to make a bowl game for the 3rd year in a row, a feat never accomplished in the history of the program. With 2 weeks left in the season, they entered their contest against Rutgers 4-6 with no room for error. IU's defense didn't allow a single mistake, blowing Rutgers off the line, dominating the point of attack, and pitching their 2nd shutout of the season. The Hoosiers came out with a sense of urgency, running all over the Scarlet Knights. Morgan Ellison carried the ball just 15 times, but racked up 149 yards, as well as 2 scores on the ground. He shared time with Cole Guest, who also recorded 100 yards and an additional touchdown. They came by land and through the air, as Richard Lego had no issues moving the ball, over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. He found his usual targets with ease, including Whop Phillier as the Hoosiers owned Rutgers 41-0. That left Indiana needing just one more victory to get to 6-6, but they'd have to get it against that school up north, hated rival Purdue. West Lafayette and Purdue Pete, the atmosphere was electric. The Hoosiers had defeated the Boilermakers in 4 straight contests, tied for their longest streak in the history of the rivalry. And boy, the student section knew it. They were fired up for this one. They desperately wanted to reclaim the old Oaken bucket. The atmosphere got to Indiana early, as on their first possession, Richard Lego throws a very costly interception that gave Purdue prime position to take an early 7-0 advantage, and they would do just that. The Boilermakers got whatever they wanted on the ground, as Markel Jones busted out big ones, finishing with 217 yards on the day. Indiana would attempt to battle back late, Richard Lego completing a couple nice deep balls to Simi Cobbs Jr. and Taysir Mack. The Hoosiers even recovered an onside kick and marched down to score, bringing the game to 31-24 with another onside kick, giving the Hoosiers a chance to tie. But Jeff Brom would make adjustments after the first special teams blunder, and the Boilermakers would recover the second onside kick and hang on to win the bucket, snapping IU's streak and denying them a 3rd straight bowl game appearance, ending their season. After dropping 3 straight games, Indiana women's basketball looked to get back on track Tuesday when they hosted the Mean Green of North Texas. The Hoosiers started off fast, controlling the first half, led in scoring by Tyra Buss and Amanda Cahill. But the Mean Green would battle back in the second half. Foul trouble for the Hoosiers' Jalen Penn and Ben Duyaney sparked a North Texas run that gave them the lead late.
To come in here and play as well as they did and got a lead, and then they fought right back. So really impressed with where they were a year ago to where they're now.
Luckily for the Hoosiers, the leadership of their reliable duo, Amanda Cahill and Tyra Buss, was enough to close this one out. And in the process, Cahill recorded a special milestone, her 900th career rebound.
Really happy. Didn't realize, and we knew kind of going into this year there was going to be some milestones. There were going to be some records broken, and look back, she'll be one of the all-time best women's basketball players to ever play here.
The Hoosiers will look to build on this win when they take on Northern Kentucky on December 9th. Reporting for our Indiana, I'm Joe Canter.